Hello everyone, this is Giraffe. Today we are going to talk about the art of war. As we all know, the art of war is about warfare and military strategy. On the surface, it may seem unrelated to our daily lives, but that's actually not the case. While the art of war is indeed a military text, it isn't only applicable to warfare, it can also be used in business. That's why figures like Bill Gates and Masayoshi Son have acknowledged that it is one of their favorite books. The reason is simple. Business is like a battlefield. But even if you are not in business, that's okay. The art of war is also highly relevant to interpersonal relationships and the workplace. In essence, warfare is about relationships between people. We don't fight against stones or wood. Whenever there's conflict, it's between people. So, a book that teaches you how to wage war is essentially teaching you how to navigate human relationships. Of course, the scenarios might be a bit more extreme, like how to outmaneuver others. But it's not only just about outmaneuvering others, it's also about protecting yourself. So if you ever face really tricky interpersonal issues, whether someone is attacking you, slandering you, setting you up, or tormenting you, this book has answers. First, let's introduce the author of The Art of War, Sun Wu, also called Sun Zi. Sun Wu is his real name. Sun Zi is an honorific title. Sun Zi was a thinker and military strategist during the Spring and Autumn and Warring States periods in China. He wrote The Art of War around 500 BCE. Around 500 BCE, many remarkable figures emerged. Confucius, Socrates, Plato, Siddhartha Gautama, and even Sun Zi all lived around that time. Sun Zi was in his 20s when he wrote The Art of War, and he hadn't yet experienced actual warfare. He was farming deep in the mountains of the state of Wu when he wrote it. Why? Later generations speculate that he was likely someone who loved studying ancient military history and classical texts. He summarized the art of war by analyzing ancient war stories. He wasn't an undefeated war god who later reflected on his experiences. He was a farmer. At the age of 32, Sun Zi was introduced to the king of Wu. Since he was in the state of Wu at the time, he presented The Art of War to the king, who read it and exclaimed, "Wow, this is a genius!" The king immediately invited Sun Zi out of the mountains, and after that, the state of Wu became invincible. No one could defeat them. Where did he get this book from? No one knows. He was just farming deep in the mountains. It almost feels as if an angel descended to impart some wisdom to him. Anyway, those who emerge from the mountains tend to be a remarkable person. Another famous ancient Chinese strategist, Zhuge Liang, is another example. After gaining Sun Zi, the state of Wu became undefeated in battle, and the king grew arrogant. Once the king became arrogant, it was over. He stopped listening to Sun Wu, lost a battle, and was beheaded. After the king was killed, Sun Wu returned home and continued farming. Sun Zi's life ended there, but the art of war was passed down. Even now, 2,500 years later, no book has surpassed it. It's just that extraordinary. In fact, throughout these 2,500 years, whenever China went to war, people almost always consulted The Art of War. For example, during the Warring States period and follow the Spring and Autumn period, and even in the Three Kingdoms era, warfare fell heavily on this text. Later, during the Tang Dynasty, this book was introduced to Japan. The shoguns of Japan also studied the art of war for warfare. Many people in Japan are familiar with this book. For instance, the military commanders under Tokugawa Ieyasu each had a copy of The Art of War. It was indispensable. Alright, now let's move on to the main focus of today, The Art of War. This book is just over 6,000 characters long. If you were to read it, it would only take about half an hour, making it a very concise military text. Its brevity doesn't mean it lacks content. Rather, it's packed with practical insights. There are no stories or detailed examples. It simply tells you how to wage war. every sentence is crucial. Precisely because of this, the book can be a bit difficult to understand. It drives straight into telling you how to fight in this or that way, without providing context, examples, or imagery, which is why many people find it difficult to grasp. Today, I will try to explain it in the simplest way possible, hoping you can become tactical masters in your daily lives. The book is divided into 13 chapters. 即 Initial estimations, 作战 Waging war, 谋攻 Planning offensives, 行 Disposition of military strength, 势 Strategic advantages, 时虚 Strength and weaknesses, 军争 Military maneuvers, 九变 Variations and adaptability, 行军 Movement and deployment of troops, 地形 Situational positioning, 九地 The night situations, 火攻 Attacking with fire, 用奸 Employing spies. Doesn't it sound confusing? Don't worry, the names aren't that important. Moreover, if you try to read it in this order, you might find it hard to understand. I think adjusting the sequence slightly would make it easier to follow. Actually, the most important part of this book is the third chapter, 谋攻 Planning offensives. Planning offensives contains many well-known idioms. For example, one of its most classic lines is 知己知彼，百战不殆. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated in 100 battles. But nowadays, we often hear 知己知彼，百战百胜. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will win every battle. What Sunzi said was, never be defeated, not win every battle. What does this mean? If you know yourself and know your enemy, you will never lose. No matter how you fight, Sunzi places great emphasis on not losing, rather than on winning. Winning isn't the most important thing. What matters is not losing. What's the differences between not losing and winning? Not losing includes drawing with the opponent and avoiding war altogether. One of Sunzi's core ideas is to avoid war as much as possible and prevent it from happening. Once war breaks out, there are no true winners. So the essence of warfare is not to fight, not how to fight. The goal is to avoid fighting whenever possible. That's why out of the 13 chapters of the art of war, about 10 don't focus on how to fight. They focus on how not to fight. This makes the art of war a very conservative military strategy. Why does Sunzi place so much emphasis on not fighting? Why is he so focused on not losing? Is he just being overly cautious? No, it's because during the spring and autumn and warring states periods, if you lost a battle, it means death. It didn't matter how many enemies you killed. Enemies were endless, but you only had one head. If you lost, you would lose your head. So that's why Sunzi emphasized never being defeated in 100 battles, not winning every battle. In other words, Sunzi is not teaching you how to kill others, but how to protect yourself. Real life is exactly like this. Protecting yourself is more important. Learning countless ways to harm others is useless. What matters most is not being bullied by others. If you can achieve that, you are truly strong. That's why I see the art of war is incredibly practical. Also, keep this in mind. When you have conflicts or confrontations with others, your first thought shouldn't be to retaliate immediately, like hitting back when someone hits you. That's not the right approach. First, you should carefully consider what would happen if you fought back. Try to avoid fighting back as much as possible. The best outcome is to resolve the issue peacefully. I will explain how to do that later. Now the phrase 知己知彼，百战不殆. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated in 100 battles. It's actually part of a larger passage. The complete text goes 知己知彼，百战不殆。不知彼，知己，一胜一负。不知彼，不知己，每战必殆。 Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated in 100 battles. Know yourself but not the enemy, and you will win some and lose some. Know neither yourself nor the enemy, and you will be defeated in every battle. So the full meaning is, if I know myself and know my enemy, I will never lose, no matter how I fight. If I know myself but not the enemy, I have only a 50% chance of winning. If I know neither myself nor the enemy and just go in blindly, I will almost certainly lose. Whether in war or conflict, you cannot just give it a try. For example, if someone wants to start a conflict with you, thinking I will just say how it goes is a recipe for disaster. The first step is not to act impulsively. Instead, observe, gather intelligence, and prepare for battle. Only when fighting is unavoidable should you engage. The same applies to two countries. Once war breaks out, both sides suffer losses, making it easy for a third party to take advantage. So, not fighting is better for everyone. Now, in the phrase 知己知彼, know yourself and know your enemy. Knowing the enemy is crucial. Knowing yourself is easy. We know ourselves. But now, can we know the enemy? This is addressed in the final chapter of the book, 用奸, employing spies. That's why this book jumps around a bit. What does employing spies mean? It means using 奸, spies, refers to espionage. Sun Tzu divides spies into 5 types. 阴间, local spies. 内奸, inside spies. 反间, double agents. 此间, expendable spies. 身间, surviving spies. What is local spies? These are ordinary civilians from the enemy country who are used as spies. They may not gather highly valuable intelligence, but they are easy to conceal, and their numbers can be large. What is 内奸, inside spies? Refers to officials or insiders within the enemy's ranks. They can obtain very accurate and useful intelligence, but the risk of exposure is also high. These individuals are already part of the enemy's organization, hence the term inside spies. What is 反间, double agents? This means turning the enemy's spies into your own agents. Thinking of movies like Mission Impossible or Infernal Affairs. Next, 此间, expendable spies. These are agents sent by your side into enemy territory to spread false information. Once discovered, they are almost certainly doomed, hence expendable. They don't need to return. Their purpose is to stay and spread disinformation. And what is 身奸, surviving spies? These are agents who go into enemy territory and return with intelligence. They must survive and come back, though if discovered, they too are doomed. The most difficult type is the surviving spy, someone who can go in and return safely. That's truly remarkable. How can we ensure they return? It requires meticulous planning to ensure they can enter undetected, gather intelligence, and return safely. In reality, the easiest to cultivate is 内奸, local spies. Using civilians from the enemy country with a little money, they might help gather information for you. The difficulty increases from there. Of course, while we use spies, the enemy will also use spies to gather intelligence about us, right? So, how do we prevent the enemy from spying on our intelligence? This is covered in the first chapter. 即 initial estimates means battle plans. There is a very classic line in initial estimates. 兵者，诡道也，故能而示之不能，兵不厌诈. All warfare is based on deception. Therefore, feign incapacity when you are capable. In war, there is no such thing as too much deceit. Whenever there is warfare, it is about deceiving each other. We absolutely must not let the other side know what we can and cannot do. Even what we are capable of, we must pretend we are not. Moreover, our information must never be leaked to the enemy. Once our battle plans are known by the opponent, we are doomed. No matter how strong we are, it becomes useless. For example, if we know exactly where I am going tonight or tomorrow night, we stand no chance at all. Therefore, spies are especially important. If the enemy has, for instance, a surviving spy among us, and he returns without us catching him, then we are finished. In other words, the most crucial thing is to do everything possible to learn the enemy's information and strength, while doing everything possible to prevent the enemy from learning our information and strength. This is a key to victory in war, a key to never being defeated. But what if we have no strength? It doesn't matter if we don't have any strength. That is also addressed. The following passage from Planning Offensives answers this question. 故用兵之法，实则为之，武则攻之，备则战之，敌则能分之，少则能逃之，不弱则能避之，故小敌之坚，大敌之勤也。The rules for employing military force are: if you outnumber the enemy 10 to 1, surround them. If 5 to 1, attack them. If double their strength, engage them. If evenly matched, find a way to divide them. If fewer in number, be capable of evasion. If clearly outmatched, be capable of avoidance. Therefore, a smaller force that stubbornly stands its ground will be captured by a larger force. What this means is, if our strength is 10 times or even 5 times that of the enemy, it doesn't matter, just crush them outright. If we are evenly matched with the enemy, we must split them apart and defeat them one by one, preventing them from uniting. If we are weaker than the enemy, then do not fight. Avoid a situation where the weak confronts the strong whenever possible. As long as you think the enemy might be stronger than you, do not fight. It doesn't matter whether this is true or not. If that's what you believe in your heart, absolutely do not fight. Don't jump yourself up with ideas like, I am righteous, God protects me. That is a disaster. It's completely useless. Charging forward means death. So does that mean we shouldn't fight even we are evenly matched? If there is even a thought in your mind that the other side might be stronger than us, then do not fight. Don't use reasons like, I am on the righteous side to dilute this principle. Because once you go and find out they are indeed stronger than you will have no chance. What will you do if God doesn't come to help you then? So from this, everyone can see that the art of war is absolutely pragmatic, exceptionally calm and rational. There is no talk of, we must give ourselves confidence, we must strive hard. None of that. If you can avoid fighting, don't fight. Excellent. Another classic line from the Planning Offensives chapter is, 百战百胜，非善之善者也，不战而屈人之兵，善之善者也。To win every battle is not a supreme excellence. To subdue the enemy's forces without fighting is the true pinnacle of excellence. Winning every battle is inferior to subduing the enemy without fighting. No matter how skilled you are in combat, it is still not as good as achieving victory without restoring to war. Therefore, the fundamental philosophy of the art of war is that if you can defeat the enemy without a battle occurring, that is the best outcome. That sounds good. So one must rely on strategy. Next, it says, 上兵伐谋，其次伐交，其次伐兵，其下攻城. The highest form of warfare is to attack the enemy's strategy. Next is to attack his alliances. Next is to attack his army. The worst is to attack his cities. In other words, if conflict is unavoidable, the best strategy is to defeat the opponent through stratagem. This applies to our daily lives as well, doesn't it? When someone attacks you, annoys you, hates you, or torments you, they have their own objectives. You must first understand their goals. Once you know their purpose, if you can resolve or neutralize it, then there is no need for conflict. For example, if there is a misunderstanding between you two, clarifying it can turn you into friends, thus avoiding war and achieving victory. Of course, if their goal is purely to seize what is yours, meaning they are acting unjustly, that happens quite often, doesn't it? In such cases, the next best approach is 伐交, attacking his alliances. You must weaken his strength. This likely refers to situations involving not just one person but a group. You do your best to disperse his strength, preventing his allies from uniting or pooling their resources. Meanwhile, you strive to strengthen your own position. This could mean poaching his allies. For instance, spreading rumors to isolate him or win his supporters over to your side. If you succeed in isolating him, he may retreat without a fight. Essentially, you use your mind to wage war, not brute force. The next inferior strategy is 伐兵, direct confrontation. If all other measures fail, then you have no choice but to engage in open conflict. The worst strategy is what? It is attacking the enemy's fortified cities, assaulting his strongest, most well-defended positions, where he is prepared and flawless. If you choose to retaliate head-on against such defenses, you are doomed. The enemy is ready for you. Now, the next important point. When assessing the situation and analyzing the relative strength of both sides before any conflict begins, there is another crucial aspect, defense. Since we never know when the enemy might attack, right? Therefore, defense is especially important. This is discussed in the 4th chapter, 行, dispositioning of military strength. Dispositioning of military strength is about defensive formations and similar concepts. There is a particularly famous line in 行, 昔之善战者, 先为不可胜, 以待敌之可胜, 不可胜在己, 可胜在敌. Those skilled in warfare of old first made themselves invincible, then awaited the enemy's moment of vulnerability. Being invincible lies with oneself. The enemy's vulnerability lies with the enemy. What does this mean? In the past, those skilled in warfare first placed themselves in an unassailable position, making their defenses so solid that the enemy could not breach them. This was their primary condition. Then, they waited for the enemy to expose a weakness. During this process, the enemy might make a mistake, giving you an opportunity to strike. Therefore, whether you can be defeated by the enemy depends on yourself, on your defenses, but whether you can defeat the enemy depends on the enemy. Victory is not up to you. It's up to whether the enemy reveals a flaw. Some enemies never show a weakness, so you may have no chance to win. At best, it's a stalemate. It's like a boxing match, where neither throws a punch. You have no chance to win, but you can ensure you don't lose. Look at many protagonists in TV shows and movies. They are exactly like this. For example, Michael Scofield in Prison Break and Harry Potter. What type are they? They all start by enduring, defending, suffering all kinds of abuse, and waiting for the right moment. The key is first ensuring you don't die. If the protagonist dies, there's no more chance, so everyone should understand. Opportunity doesn't just belong to the prepared. It first belongs to the living. You must first ensure you survive. Therefore, defense is especially important. It's the only thing you can truly control. But you might want to ask, what about those who want to attack you? Aren't they already well defended? Why would they thinking of attacking others? Exactly. They might just think they are strong. Their lack of sense is their problem. You need to be smarter. Moreover, during this stalemate, the enemy might just give up. Who keeps hitting an unresponsible stone? If you defend well enough, you can achieve victory without fighting, or at least avoid defeat. You can achieve non-defeat without fighting. For example, suppose you are a mobile phone manufacturer with many competitors. Your phones are well made, and they all attack you with rumors and slander. What should you do? First, don't start spreading rumors to counterattack. Instead, stay calm. As long as you keep making your phones well, these rumors may collapse on their own. If your phones truly have no issues, the rumors will remain just that, rumors. They aren't true, so they will fade away naturally. But many rumors are orchestrated, professionally crafted, possibly. But first, you must ensure you have no real problems. Then you wait for the right moment to counterattack. Yes, you still need to counterattack eventually. Sun Tzu wasn't a coward. He emphasized this: I don't fight, but once a fight starts, I end it with one decisive blow, the kind that takes the enemy's life. You wait for the right moment, focusing solely on what weakness. You crush them completely. All past grievances can be vented throughout this one point, and it's over. You might want to ask, we just mentioned that we cannot finish others off, leave them a way out. Yes, that's very important. It's in the art of war. What we meant by the meaning of finishing them off here is about deciding the outcome, simply defeating them. Therefore, the endurance Sun Tzu speaks of is not weakness. It's a manifestation of waiting for the right moment. When the time is ripe, you strike with one decisive blow. Sun Tzu believed that the attacking side is prone to exposing weaknesses, while the defending side is less likely to do so. So, if they attack us, it's an opportunity for us. They will expose various flaws. You can pick any one to counterattack successfully. You can even wait for the biggest opportunity, no problem. But the premise is that you, yourself, must not expose weaknesses. Just do your defensive job well. Alright, so how do you attack the enemy? That's written in the 6th chapter called 失虚, also known as 实虚, weaknesses and strength. This chapter primarily discussed how to adapt to changes on the battlefield. There is a famous saying within it, 夫兵行如水，水之行必高而趋下，兵之行必实而击虚。The disposition of military force is like water. Water's flow avoids heights and rushes downward. The disposition of force avoids the solid and strikes the weak. This means that when we deploy troops or make a move, we should be like flowing water. Do not attack the enemy's strong points. If you encounter a strong point, simply bypass it and strike at its soft spot. Go around all his strong defenses and only attack the weaknesses. Just strike where it's soft, and that's it. What if there is no soft spot? If there is no weakness, it won't work. You must find his weak spot. If there isn't one, keep waiting, as discussed in the first 5 chapters. Don't embarrass yourself by displaying lesser skills before a master. If he is physically strong, don't engage in physical confrontation with him. If he is very articulate, don't waste words arguing with him. You definitely won't win a debate. The point is to identify your own strength and the enemy's weaknesses. Use your strength to attack his weaknesses. He definitely has areas where he is vulnerable. What if his mind is sharp and his body is strong? Then you'd better accept it. Having strategy also includes things like building a good relationship with him. The idea is that in warfare, things like pride, faith, and personal feelings are irrelevant. Life and death are the key. Do everything possible to avoid dying. Everything else can come later. Even if you suffer humiliation at the beginning, it doesn't matter. But in real life, how often is it truly about life and death? Exactly. Therefore, the art of war fundamentally addresses thorny problems, not the everyday issues we can solve with other methods. Those everyday problems might be resolved just by changing your perspective or letting them go. It is either he takes my life or I take his. Precisely the kind of tormenting dilemma that is most agonizing. Ordinary people don't usually think about how to defeat an enemy, but they often feel bullied and suffocated. Sun Tzu gives you a few strategies. If you simply cannot handle this person, like your boss, and you cannot quit your job, then you must build a good relationship with him. Actually, every product today is the same. Although there are many competing products, each has its own characteristics. Don't compare your weakest point to the competitor's strongest point. You cannot compare the smoothness of your phone to an iPhone's. You can compete in other areas. For example, my battery life is longer, my camera is better. That's how you compete, right? Of course, this strategy of avoiding the opponent's strength and leveraging your own is based on knowing yourself and knowing the enemy. You must understand the opponent to know his weaknesses. Therefore, the art of war is not written for the strong, nor is it written for the weak. It is written for the intelligent. You must use your mind to wage war. Whether you are strong or weak doesn't matter. You always have a chance to win. As another line from Weaknesses and Strength says, 能因敌变化而取胜者，谓之神. One who can adapt to the enemy's changes and achieve victory is called divine. This means that in conflicts or battles between enemies, the situation is constantly changing. If you attack his weaknesses, he will certainly defend against it. So you must also be constantly adapting. You cannot rely on a single move to the end. If that one move can decisively defeat him, fine. If it doesn't finish him, you must change immediately. Find a new weaknesses, and then strike again. That's so mentally exhausting, right? Then you become a war god, a level ordinary people can hardly reach. Chapter 7. 其疾如风，其徐如林，侵略如火，不动如山，难知如阴，动如雷霆。Be swift as the wind, deliberate as the forest, fierce as fire, immovable as a mountain, indestructible as shadow, and explosive as thunder. When attacking, be as swift as the wind, bypassing the enemy's strong points to infiltrate. When deploying troops, be as orderly and quiet as a forest, neat and disciplined. Once combat begins, be as fierce and destructive as fire. Immovable as a mountain refers to your encampment. When garrisoning or stationing troops, be as solid as a mountain, ensuring your defenses are impeccable. Indestructible as shadow means concealing your information and the location of your troops. Don't let others know where they are. Explosive as thunder means that once you engage, do so with overwhelming force, crushing the enemy's spirit. These 6 concepts are grouped in pairs of 3. Wind, fire, thunder form one group. They relate to offense, sweetness, ferocity, and overwhelming momentum. Forest, mountain, shadow form another group. They relate to defense, quietness, solidity, and concealment. The overall idea is that during preparation, you should remain unraveling solid and stable, but once combat begins, finish it quickly and decisively. Why must you be quick and decisive? Because the situation on the battlefield changes rapidly. If you don't act swiftly, the initial advantage can quickly turn into disadvantage. The enemy isn't foolish after all. Moreover, a protracted war exhausts both sides. After a war of attrition, everyone is a loser. There are also certain techniques to be applied during the preparation phase, which are discussed in Chapter 2, 作战, waging war. It states, 故杀敌者，怒也；取敌之利者，祸也. Thus, to motivate soldiers to kill the enemy, stir their anger, to motivate them to seize the enemy's wealth, offer them material rewards. What does this mean? If your soldiers kill enemy soldiers, you should reward them with spiritual or honorary incentives. For example, give them a title like War God or Ultimate Warrior, something that acknowledges their ferocity. If your soldiers seize enemy property or wealth, you should reward them with material compensation. Soldiers have their own preferences. Some enjoy killing, others enjoy looting. If you satisfy their desires, they will fight for you again in the next battle. Therefore, rewards are crucial. Additionally, during combat, if you capture an enemy charity, immediately replace its flag and make it your own. Typically, we imagine battles as both sides gradually losing troops, but that's not how it should be. In an ideal battle, your forces should grow while the enemies shrink. Captured prisoners should be quickly integrated into your own ranks. You might want to ask, is that really possible? Through preservation and surrender, give them what they want, then send them back to fight the enemy. This way, as the battle progresses, your numbers increase, end the battle quickly. Avoid the scenario of mutual attrition. It shouldn't exist. Use whatever resources you can. Even if you capture a house, immediately plant your flag on it to claim ownership. The enemy will be terrified. As the battle goes on, they will think, my God, why are there people everywhere? So planting your flag is crucial. Take one step forward. Plant a flag. It creates the illusion that the enemy's territory is shrinking, and they may flee in panic. Now, regarding the final stage of warfare, 军争 military maneuvers also states, 穷寇勿迫，此用兵之法也. Do not press a desperate enemy. This is the principle of warfare. If the outcome is already decided, do not push someone into a corner. Why? 置之死地而后生. Place them in a deadly situation, and they will fight for life. If you drive them into a desperate position, they will certainly fight back fiercely, which offers no benefit to you. Your goal should be to persuade them to surrender whenever possible, integrating them into your forces so they can be used in future battles. War is not about slaughter. The purpose of war is never mere killing. You might want to ask, what if they cannot be used by us? If they remain your eternal enemies, keeping them alive serves no purpose. However, if there is even the slightest chance they could become your allies, do not give up on that possibility. Annihilation is a major taboo in warfare because enemies can never be completely eradicated. You might destroy one country, leaving one blade of grass, but there will always be another. They cannot all be killed. The goal should be to recruit and pacify them, ultimately unifying into one nation. That is the most important. Many movies advocate uprooting the grass and eliminating the roots and similar ideas. That is not the principle of warfare. It is merely hatred, a drive for slaughter. Annihilation stems from that, which is different from the true purpose of warfare. The phrase 置之死地而后生 is often used today to emphasize one's determination. I have cut off my own retreat, placed myself in a desperate situation, and will therefore strive with all my might. Over the past 2,500 years, the art of war has consistently been the most important military treatise in the world, without equal. It is absolutely a classic among classics. The West has never produced a comparable military classic, despite the many small nations in the West constantly at war. None could decisively outmatch the others, so no authoritative military treatise emerged. If your tactics work, and mine work too, how could a definitive manual arise? Thus, such a miraculous military classic emerged in the East. The art of war has never been updated in 2,500 years. It doesn't need to be. It remains effective to this day. That is the nature of this classic, written in the mountains, its origins shrouded in mystery. Actually, in the 19th century, a military treatise emerged in Europe that, for a time, replaced the art of war in many countries. This book is On War, von Krieg, written by the Prussian military strategist Karl von Clausewitz, often called the Western Sage of War. This Karl was not particularly skilled in warfare himself. He suffered many defeats. However, he was exceptionally adept at research. Whoever defeated him, he would study that person and summarize their tactics. The one who defeated him most frequently was Napoleon Bonaparte. Therefore, he compiled all of Napoleon's tactics, meaning that On War essentially documents Napoleon's strategies, even though Napoleon himself never wrote such a book. Napoleon's legendary success later gave this work significant influence over Western military thought, which eventually spread to the East. Since this book was shaped by Napoleon's military philosophy, its core tenet became the best defense is a good offense. This stands in complete opposition to the art of war. Sun Tzu said, "Those skilled in warfare first make themselves invincible," meaning defense is the best offense. Only by holding your ground can you achieve victory without fighting. In contrast, Clausewitz argued that defense is useless and that offense is the best defense. You must always attack. Napoleon embodied this mindset. He fought across Europe, attacking whomever he displaced. He was a fervent advocate of aggression. After Clausewitz's book gained popularity, it contributed to the outbreak of World War I and World War II. When nations worldwide adopted this military philosophy, they abandoned defense in favor of invasion, since offense was seen as best defense. After World War II, On War fell out of favor. Why have there been no world wars in the past 60 years? Much of the credit goes to the art of war. Nations began to practice restraint, engaging in verbal conflicts, commanding each other, arguing, but avoiding actual warfare. Why? Because defense became recognized as paramount, and as a principle of avoid war if possible took hold. Everyone started reading The Art of War. Thus, the art of war has been immensely beneficial to world peace. First and foremost, it is not a philosophy of aggression. So, everyone should read The Art of War. If everyone followed its teachings, there would be no wars. Why should innocent lives be sacrificed?